biggest lessons I've learned, number one, is how real it gets during the holidays. Yeah. The breakup is there. You have your kid every weekend or every other weekend on Tuesdays or whatever your time split is. And then the holidays come and you're like, shit, dang. And that is real. That's when it really hit me. And that pain of not waking up on Christmas morning or not having Thanksgiving dinner and I'm solo, that is real. And the best I got is a phone call. And that's just how it's structured. It is what it is, unfortunately, but you have to deal with that. And how do you deal with that?
Let's go. Game time.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Better Baby Daddy podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, John Lakshman.
I'm your other co-host, Kelly Burgess.
And today, we're going to talk about what can be a very stressful time for a lot of men that are non-custodial, and that is the holidays.
Yes.
Specifically, Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's. Yeah. That time frame right there, if you're new to the split up, can be very, very stressful, anxiety-inducing, painful, hurtful.
Yes.
All those things.
And joyful. Hey, we want to welcome you to this crazy 6 weeks, right? It's really a 6-week sprint, but there's so much emotion packed in it. And that's why we wanted to do an episode about it.
Yeah. So let's start off a little bit with our experiences. I know you're well removed from, wrapping gifts the night before and going through all that. But what were some of the stories that you remember?
Yeah. I mean, there were gifts.
Uh-huh.
We had two houses. I was fortunate to have an ex and then a current that were really good about making sure the kids felt welcomed and taken care of with respect to that. Mm-hmm. One of the rituals we had with the kids is I would make this thing called honey milk. It was just warm milk with honey in it.
Okay.
It was kind of our little, bedtime ritual before Christmas morning. And the kids still speak about that. But like I said, my kids are older, and I just remember it just being just a scramble because there were so many of them compressed. But my recollection is that it was a good time, but it took a lot of planning, particularly when you're working between two households.
Yeah. There was a lot going on, basically. I'm at the tail end of my girls believing in Santa still.
Okay.
But I think the craziest time right after those split ups that I experienced was the holiday season.
Yeah.
And that was because of logistics. That was because of not putting children first. That was because of finances, a lack of communication. It was because of just not understanding how things were going to work.
Yeah. And when you say that, when I look back on it, it was all of that. It's on-the-job training, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you had this wise dude in your ear saying, okay, you split up now, and this is what Thanksgiving and Christmas is going to look like. You're in it, and then you're figuring out, the details you have to get to just to work out time and, expectations. If you're broken up and you don't have good skills on those things anyway, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on those things.
Yeah. So I think that brings us to our first point, and that's managing expectations. So you have to be proactive in regards to what the expectations are going to be for the holidays. And that requires you to, number one, deal with the emotions. And dealing with the emotions before they occur, which sounds crazy, but what is going to happen during this time? If I don't have my children on Christmas Day, what is that going to feel like for me? So how do I deal with that? How do I deal with that 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out?
How does a man deal with it? Like, it's good to think through that now, so you can build up some resources, talk to some other cats that have been through it before, journal. But it is going to hit you at some point that, oh, wait, I've been used to this all this time, and the house is quiet. It's just me. I wonder what they're doing, all those things. So, like you said, thinking about it ahead of time and being able to tackle it.
Yeah, so the holidays are definitely going to amplify any emotion that you experience, whether it's happiness, sadness, joy, anger. That time of the year is going to amplify it, especially when you're split up from your significant other and there's children involved.
Yeah, indeed. And so just know that if you're a guy that tends to run hot, know that, there's going to be some buttons pushed. So just give yourself some more margin emotionally so that, you don't, redline emotionally because it is an intense time.
One of the things that's also going to occur that's going to really play into that emotional dynamic is pressure that you're going to feel from your family. They are going to say, oh, you don't got the kids? Oh, can you get the kids? Oh, I want to see the kids on the Christmas day. I want to see the kids on Thanksgiving. Oh, what do we do? There's this big family plan for New Year's. Can you get the kids? And you're now stuck in the middle of this, trying to appease adults when really the focus should be the children.
And that's the key thing is you have to cut out the noise,
Mm-hmm.
even from well-meaning family members, and say, what is the best interest for my child and how can I bring that to bear? That's one thing that did surprise me, is how many different moving parts there were that you had to contend with. And even the children want to see their grandparents too, but they're feeling conflicted because they gotta, stay down with their mom or whatever. But you have to know that, man, it's gonna be a lot to manage, and try to keep it as simple as possible.
I know we already said you're a little far removed from those experiences, but can you remember what specifically you did, if you did anything, to help manage those emotions?
A lot of long walks and a lot of prayer. And for me personally, and then depending on the child, each child responded to that change differently, and just building in time to make sure they felt heard. So my daughter, when she was reaching your daughter's age, late elementary school, middle school, really was able to articulate the pain that she was feeling. She was feeling torn. She loved being out with her mom. Mom has a huge family. They always have a big get together, but then she wants to see her dad and spend some time with me. And so just giving her time to express all those feelings was one of the things that I had to do. But it was just really trying to keep things as simple as possible, John, because it is such a complicated time.
Simplify the process. That is it right there. I think one of the things, or one of the failures for me during that time, was I complicated things. That complication occurred because of a lack of clear communication with my BM at the time, and trying to appease adults. I got them Christmas Eve. Can I make it here? Can I make it there? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do all these different things? And by the end of the day, you might accomplish 50% of that, and the kid's head is spinning. They're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And now I got to go to mom's house and do this and this and this and this as well. So simplifying the process is such an important thing. And I'm conflicted on this concept right here, because I've done it and I haven't done it. Right. And that is like having the double holiday for the children. Like, is that really child focused, or is it just more for me?
So you have
two Christmases, two Thanksgivings. I did like the Christmas one slightly, like an altered version of it, but Thanksgiving, I'm trying to create this experience, trying to create memories for my children and myself. But is that more for me, or is it more for them? And I reflect and I'm like, maybe that was more for me, but yet they still have the memory. So I'm really conflicted if it was beneficial or not.
Yeah, so, one past holiday, I asked the kids what was, I think it was, you had a family gathering, we were asking them, what was some of the things you remember from either holidays or significant events? And what the kids remember, everybody had the same experience, right? Yeah. And this one's like, Dad farted on the way to Winter, to, those pancakes Dad made were great. It's like, were we at the same event? So it'd be interesting. Like you said, a lot of times we do these things as adults because we want that. Yeah. But what they take from it is completely different. What made meaning for them is completely different than what we thought, what we tried to play it.
I'm sure my girls have completely different memories. I'm thinking, I remember the first time I did it. I cooked the whole Thanksgiving. I mean, I did everything, B.
April.
I didn't do that much. I didn't have the they-them energy. But I did everything, man. And I don't cook at all. I was so proud of myself. My girls ate, but I'm sure when we go back and revisit that a couple years, and they're going to be like, yo, that food was horrible. Like, what happened? Like, those were not greens. Like, what were you doing?
I was like, you're Indian, right?
That's it right there.
But hey, we do our best, right?
We manage our emotions as best as possible through whatever vices we have available.
Good times. But one thing that does make it healthy was, helpful. The second point you alluded to is just, simplifying things, making sure the communication is good, and the communication with your kids. Hey, this is what you expect. Yeah. You might get 30 gifts and, Santa drops down the chimney at your mama's house, but hey, this is what's going to be like with us. What else would you like to do?
So yeah, let's talk about that communication. Number one, it has to be proactive. It has to be early. And in many situations, it has to be often.
Repeated.
Yes, repeated. So that early communication needs to look like, it might be September, it might be August, it might be July, depending on your specific situation. All right, what are we doing for Thanksgiving? So you're having that conversation with your BM right there. And you have to be direct. And what you also need to do is after that conversation, go back, text the conversation to her so you have it in writing. So, hey, this is what we talked about today. We talked about I'm picking them up at 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving. I'm getting them Christmas Eve until Christmas morning. So having those conversations and then getting it in writing as well to reiterate it.
It's so crucial. You just don't go on word of mouth, because once emotions get into it, plans change, all kinds of things get into the mix. And if you do not have that text or that email that says, oh, boom, 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 boom. And it sounds clinical and kind of cold, but believe me, gentlemen, it'll save you a ton of headache, because you can go back to it year after year and say, hey, what did we do last year? There was many times where I was like, oh, well, I thought it was, did it? And we go back to the emails like, no, we did agree about that. Now, they have other things, platforms, they don't make it simple, but your point is spot on, is early and months ahead of time. And then often and in multiple ways. There might be a phone call, there may be a text follow-up. Here's the formal email. Hey, let me write this down on a note.
Send them a letter.
You have to hit it a lot of different ways, and it just saves time and energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that often part is going to be so crucial, because you might have that conversation in July, then you're going to have it again in August, then you're going to have it again in September. But when you have it again in September, what might happen, B? She might go, well, my mom wanted to really see the girls or the boys or the kids for Thanksgiving. And I know what we talked about. And that's when you have to be firm in the boundaries that you have established. Yeah. And if you need to, you might refer back to the parenting custodial plan that was created by the court system, saying, hey, well, this is mine. And we also talked about this.
Yeah. And all those things help. And they also provide some flex if you need to flex. Say, hey, I know it's said this, but I'm willing to take them by there during my time, or I'm willing to, do a FaceTime call with them. It lets those parameters allow you to know, okay, this is what we know we're both working with and we agree to. And I appreciate the new information. I'll see what I can do, but I can't promise you anything because I'm planning on this. The other thing that it helped with is just making sure that our law completely
that in here. I'll say one of the things that I did throughout that communication process, well, later in the communication process, is she was like, hey, I know we talked about this time, right, but can you actually pick her up a little later, like 2 hours later, because we had this, we want to do this now. I said, yeah, I can pick her up 2 hours later, but drop her off 2 hours later then. And she'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Good. And if you have that communication, and that juggling right there, that balancing is extremely important.
It is. And I knew the point that I was going to make. It gets tricky when your kids get a little older, like your girls are getting into, and they start getting invited to things with friends around the holidays. So, such as mama wants to take the girls, ice skating, but it's going to run over into your time. And so that is a different kind of conversation, because it really is what your child wants to do. And you have to just be prepared for that.
Yeah.
How you handle it, there's a lot of nuance to it, but be prepared for those kind of things that come up as your kids.
And in that situation, it is very key to keep it child focused, right? Because of course you're going to hurt. Of course you're going to feel a certain type of way. Right. But how can I keep the child at the center of that situation? And that might be, okay, yeah, absolutely. Go ice skating. But I'm going to go there and I'm going to be there at my time so I can be with her while she's ice skating. Right. And then from ice skating, I'll pick her up and we'll take her back to the house for Christmas Eve dinner, whatever it may be.
And that way you get that shared experience with your daughter, get a chance to meet some of her friend circle. But have a plan, but build in some flexibility. And hopefully over the years, if you're doing what you need to do as a better baby dad, you built this goodwill up where you can take a withdrawal here. Your BM can take a withdrawal here and y'all not blowing the whole plan.
There you go. And that brings us to our final little bullet point under communication. And we've given examples of that throughout this time. And that is offer solutions, not demands.
Demands don't work.
Demands are not going to work in this situation. I know you might be an extremely masculine man and you're like, hey, this is what we're doing. She's not going to vibe with that because y'all aren't together, and you probably aren't together because of situations similar to that.
Home alone, eat a can of sardines.
She gonna follow that parenting plan to the T. There ain't gonna be no flexibility. And even she might not even follow it. She might go off. She might go rogue.
Right.
And then what are you going to do? What's your recourse at that time? Because the holidays are going to be over by the time the court systems get involved.
Court system was closed.
Right. So offer solutions, come with a plan, be early and often with your communication, and keep it child focused.
Just did that. You eliminate probably 90% of your problems. Then there's the money. Whole another can of worms. And early on, if you're early on in the stage, it is going to be tight. If you're in that stage that we talked about several episodes ago where the breakup is fresh, child support is fresh, your funds are limited, you're going to feel the financial pressure of not being able to do what you used to be able to do when you were in the house with your ex. And so what are some ways that men can healthily handle that pressure that they feel?
Yeah. Number one is do not compare what you're capable of doing solo to what her family might be able to provide, what she may be able to provide, what other households may be able to provide. Do not compare. That's the number one thing there. If you can step away from that comparison of Jimmy's friend buying Jimmy's friend's family buying them, a PS5, and you're not you're not even close to being capable of that.
You're at Uno level.
Yes. Do not compare. Big time. Set gift boundaries. So that's having open communication with your BM. Like, hey, this is what I'm capable of doing this Christmas. It might change next Christmas, but this Christmas, here's my financial budget that I've set for myself. Here's my gift budget, whatever that may be, whether it's one thing, no things, or all the way up to 10 things, right? It's those boundaries that are extremely important. And then focus on experience over money spent.
Yes.
Focus on experience over money spent. I had to say that twice because around the holiday times in Western society, especially American society, we get so wrapped up on, as parents or as individuals in general, about what we can give via gifts that are physical in nature, that we can touch, that the kids can play with, that the kids can use. But what else can you do? What are the other options out there?
I think as I've gotten older, you realize when you get older, you have less time and you realize time is the real currency. And when you ask your kids what they remember, they might remember some physical gifts, but they will remember the time and the way you made them feel. So it allows you, when you think about experiences versus gifts, it allows you to be really, really creative because you can tailor the experience to your particular child. Get creative, gentlemen, and but set a budget, but focus on what speaks to the love language this child speaks to me. How can I really tap into that? It might be I'm on the floor having a tea party with a tea set that I bought from the thrift store, but my daughter is really dialed into tea parties right now, and for her that's magic. So time, intentional time that meets the need of your kid really can speak volumes.
One of the things that my girls are into big time is crafting and getting their nails done, right? So doing their own nails, doing each other's nails, right? Those are two inexpensive things. Yeah. But if I'm solely focused on what can I provide, what can I give, I'm going to miss the crafting part, because crafting is not a sexy Christmas gift. Like pencils, pens, glue sticks, all that stuff, whatever goes into crafting, right? That's not a sexy Christmas gift. What are they going to enjoy? And if I'm child focused, I'm going to get them the various craft kits, the various things that aren't that expensive, as opposed to the Meta Head Quest Vision Pro thing, whatever's on their head, right? Is that they're going to use once a week, maybe once a month, maybe break it and the second time they use it. So it's really focused on those experiences and understanding what your kids enjoy, what they like doing, and then giving them the opportunity to enjoy those things via gifts.
Good at that. When I look at your stuff on social media, I'm like, this man's in his bag as his experiences with his kids. I'm like, man, I gotta scramble. I gotta go back. But no, you're really, really good and thoughtful about it. And he's a good follow, guys, to get some ideas on you just knowing your children and then creating these the times for them that are really memorable. And I would, like I said, as an older guy, I would just encourage you to lean in on spend.
There it is.
Not necessarily gifts.
Yeah. So real quick, that financial pressure over the holidays, throughout the holidays, is probably going to be some of the most intense pressure you're going to face as a single dad or a non-custodial dad. Is key that you're not comparing, you are setting gift boundaries, and you're creating experiences as opposed to just spending money everywhere and anywhere.
Absolutely. And it goes back to your other point about early communication about what you're going to be able to do and what you're not going to be able to do. Personally, I would stay off social media for the holidays. It is so difficult to turn that noise off about what other people are doing. And it just helps you to manage your own expectations and find joy in what you're able to provide right now and contentment. So just my personal opinion.
I'm with you on that. Number 5 is create your own traditions. So there are going to be traditions that you had with your significant other when y'all were together. It's time to create your own things. Creating your own traditions is going to allow your kids to experience consistency and to have memories that are going to last a lifetime.
And it could be as simple as we have this particular breakfast on Christmas Eve, or we bake cookies together and distribute it to the neighbors. You know, it could be a host of different things that work for you, work for your budget, work for your time constraints. But those things are anchors, memory anchors to your kids as they think about the holidays as they get over. My kids are in their 30s and we still have little traditions. You know, it might be pajamas. You know, you had mentioned before we started taping different ornaments. I was thinking, yeah, my wife really is into that right now, you know?
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that I love, one of the simple rituals and consistent things that we do is after Thanksgiving, all of the various families, exes and everybody, we get together at one of the exes' house. And so it's all of the kids together. Mm-hmm. It's a couple levels of spouses. And to this day, several of my kids say, Dad, that is the highlight of the year when we get together the day after Thanksgiving. So those rituals are really important.
That's awesome. I think one thing we don't have up there that is extremely important that you just talked about is that family experience. It usually doesn't cost anything if you don't have to travel too far. Right. And it creates lasting memories. It creates joy, happiness, and laughs. It creates everything that the holidays should be about.
Yeah. So get together with those crazy people.
Yeah. Simple rituals and consistency with those rituals.
Yes.
Just off the top of my head, I was like, oh, when you were talking, I was like, you know what, we're going to start this year. This is going to be the beginning of the rituals. My girls love cooking.
Okay.
They're at the point last weekend, I allowed them to look up a no-bake recipe.
Okay.
On YouTube.
Okay.
They found one, and they just made it all themselves. I was just there supervising.
Really? They got the flour down?
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
Well, it was just it was like Oreos and melted butter and stuff like this. Okay. And like it was, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I ate it afterwards and it wasn't that bad. It was good. It was good. Yeah. So
you were just there making sure they don't destroy the whole place.
Yes, exactly. And it worked. Yeah, but I think we're going to start baking cookies. They'll love that.
Yeah.
So that's a ritual that I'm going to start this year.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Number 6 is protect your mental emotional health. And as we've already said, you're going to feel an immense amount of pressure during the holidays from family, from friends, financially, from all these different areas. They're going to be pulling on you, right? Your BM might be saying things. She might not be in the best mood because she's feeling that pressure as well,
yes, she is.
Right? And you just happen to be there in the crosshairs of her emotional explosion, right? It might not happen really. She might be feeling the same pressures you're feeling from family. Yep. So how do you protect your own mental emotional health?
Yeah, I think a couple of things that helped me is we talked about in previous episodes, prayer, journaling. I love journals because journals don't talk back. They don't cuss you out. They got big ears. They never stop listening. And you can be completely honest in your journal about the deep feelings that you might not share with anybody else. That feeling of loneliness when that first couple of holidays when you were accustomed to being the man. And now there's nothing like Christmas morning as the dad. And they're daddy, daddy, daddy. And wrapping paper all over the place and you're just the man. And you go from that to that apartment or that house is quiet and you got to wait a couple days or you got to wait the next Christmas to have that experience with them. It hits you in your chest. So have a place where you can offload that. And then, you know, the last thing I would say is, man, a circle of dudes who've been through it before. You know, I recently sat down around the fire pit, a couple guys, and we were just sharing things about marriage. But that for a dad who's going through that season would be a really healthy way to handle the emotions and not get crippled by them. So just get together with some guys around the fire and say, hey, man, this season's really tough for me right now. You know, how'd you guys deal with it? Yeah.
That's awesome right there. Yeah, like leaning into your circle, essentially, right? Yeah. I think another way we protect our mental emotional health during the holidays is something you've already said, and that's log off from social media for a little bit. Right? Because that comparison is going to occur. You're going to see somebody buying their kid a brand new car, and you're like, I can't even afford my car payment. So step away from social media. That'll help with the comparison. Step away from things that create more pressure, right? So maybe it's pulling back. I know holidays are about family, but if you have that family member that's placing pressure on you, maybe step back a little bit from that person during the holidays to protect yourself. And when we protect ourselves, we're doing it not only for ourselves, number one, but we're also doing it for our children.
Yep.
And that is so important right there. The gym has always been my temple when I become stressed. It has always been my temple. And hey, the way you're going to be eating over the holidays, you could be in the gym a little bit.
Right.
So as we always say, meditation, prayer, the gym, leaning into your circle, all those things will help protect your mental, emotional health. And then talking to a professional if necessary.
Yeah. High stress time, and I'm sure they get double calls during the holidays. One thing that you mentioned, sort of parallel with journaling, is create a gratitude journal. Look back over, one thing that is really helpful for me is look back over your photos for the last year of your kids and say, because there's stuff that you're not going to remember, and you're like, whoa, we really did that. Oh man, she looks so happy there. And just create a gratitude journal of the last year. And remind yourself of how many blessings that you've had. Gratitude is like the antidote to depression and just a lack of contentment.
Mm-hmm.
So, just take some time over the holidays and just go through your photo scroll and say, oh yeah, really grateful for that, and write it down.
Mm-hmm.
That helps out a lot. And then the last thing is serve somebody else. Focus on yourself. That's one thing. That's one tradition that I talk to my kids about is let's do a service project as a family, and it gets us, outward looking, and that's so inwardly focused.
That gratitude, that's so big right there. Yeah. Focusing on what you have as opposed to what you want. Right there. That's it. Well said, B. That's a great one. All right. And finally, to wrap up, lessons that we've learned on our journey.
Man, I'd say just in general, I don't have a lot of like searing memories, but I do know this, that the things that seem so important, the things that you were just, the battle lines were drawn and, you're counting, see 17 minutes late, in the scheme of life, not really important. I mean, it's important to have the communication and the clear lines, but your kids and you are not going to remember that you got an extra 37 minutes because you cussed your B out or BM out. They will remember the way you made them feel during that time. So major in the majors, try to be a peacemaker during this time. That's an intense time. And like we said, just the more communication that you can have early, the better. It goes fast, gentlemen. So do everything you do to enjoy that time you got your kids over the holidays.
There it is. Wow. I think biggest lessons I've learned, number one, is how real it gets during the holidays.
Yes.
Like the breakup is there. You have your kid every weekend or every other weekend on Tuesdays or whatever your time split is. And then the holidays come and you're like, shit, dang. And that is real right there. That's when it really hit me. And that pain of not waking up on Christmas morning or not having Thanksgiving dinner and I'm solo, that is real. And the best I got is a phone call. And that's just how it's structured because of decisions I've made, decisions her mother's made. It is what it is, unfortunately, but you have to deal with that. And how do you deal with that? So my biggest lesson was it's going to hurt. It's going to be real. That's the time when it gets real, I should say. Yeah. And learning to manage that, not sitting there and sulking in it, but like, okay, this hurts. I don't like this. What can I do to deal with this? I'm not going to suppress it. I'm going to express it positively. Yeah. What can I do? And once you get through that process, things will start to change. I'm not saying the pain goes away. I'm not saying that feeling disappears, but it will change. And then logistics. That was a major lesson I learned during the holidays is you got to be extremely detailed with your logistics. For example, I had a plan with one of my BMs that said, hey, you get her Christmas Day. Cool. I'm thinking I'm waking up with her Christmas morning because I got her Christmas Day because I'm going to get her Christmas Eve. It's going to be great. Da, 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 da. And then, I'm talking, and I wasn't proactive in my communication. I wasn't detailed in my communication. I wasn't anything with my communication. We were just, all right, yeah, Christmas Day. And the plan didn't specify anything in terms of time. So that lack of detail that lack of communication led to Christmas Eve. Oh, I'm coming to get her. Why would you be coming to get her? You got her Christmas Day. Well, if I got her Christmas Day, that means I got to wake up. So Santa, no. And then I don't get her till 9 or 10 a.m. on Christmas Day. And yeah, that's great. I'm grateful for those moments, but it's not the same as waking up and them coming out of the bedroom and you're tearing into things. It's like, you showing up, like, oh yes, Santa was here, but you already had a Santa down there and you already had that experience. So it's like you're playing second fiddle in a way. So that's when you really got to lean into that gratefulness as well. So logistics was a big one. Money and understanding that I did not need to take out a second mortgage for Christmas. Like that was a major one. Like I don't need a second car payment because I overspent on Christmas Day to try to prove something to somebody else.
Yeah. And a lot of time it's overcompensation. It's guilt you feel for not being there or feeling like that's the way I show my presence and my importance as a dad. Let me speak to this as we close real quick. That pain that you mentioned, it lessens, it doesn't go away. I still feel like, man, I should be in the home. I could be in the home experiencing this with my kids. We could be watching a baseball game. We might text about a baseball game, you know, watching at the same time. But it's like, I could have been on the couch with some popcorn, and we could be like, watch this guy's next pitch, or watch this thing over. I can't wait to do this for you guys for the holidays. So the pain is always a tinge of it there. I think if your dad is really there with your kids, it's a sign that, hey, you really love your kids. I don't think it ever turns off to me, but you manage it.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah. You manage the pain, but the pain, don't ever think that the pain is just going to disappear because you love your kids and you know you're missing things with them.
Absolutely.
So just want to say that. Stay encouraged. If you're off feeling that and wondering if it disappears, doesn't disappear, you learn to manage it better by doing some of the things that we talked about.
Absolutely. That is a great way to put it. You have to. So I probably misspoke when I say it lessens. It may for some people lessen, and maybe for me it's lessened, but the only reason it has lessened is because I've learned to manage it. That's it right there.
That's it.
Yeah, because just thinking about it now, I'm like, yeah, this holiday is going to be a little, it's going to be different than last holiday because we have the rotation of the holiday days. And I'm just thinking about that, and I'm like, yeah, dang. Yeah. But I'm going to manage it. I'm going to deal with it.
There's always a dang. Yeah. There's always a, man, I wish it could have been this. Yeah. But, we live and learn, and we teach our kids better, and that's why we're here to do that. But we just wanted to bring this holiday episode to you because we were thinking what a pressure-filled time it is, but can also be a joyful time if you handle it well.
Yeah, absolutely. So wrap up things. Manage expectations. Clear, concise, and often communication. Deal with financial pressure through not comparing, setting gift boundaries, and valuing experiences over money spent. Create simple traditions for you and your girls, your boys, your children, whatever it may be. Protect your own mental, emotional health almost at all costs, essentially, right? And then I would say, lastly, that's it.
You're in the game, guys, and those things you're learning, you're trying to do is just level up each year.
Absolutely. All right.
We're good.
That's a good one, man. Enjoy your turkey. Enjoy the gifts.
For your kids.
Enjoy your kids. There it is. Enjoy that time spent with them, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Until next time, I'm Kelly.
And I'm John. Peace.